Hey, 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 hey. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Ashley Shepherd, owner of Shep Publishing House, where we help new and first time authors get from the page to the people to publish profitably. And also, I am Chef Ashley Shep, where I help busy moms get dinner done faster with quick, healthy, and tasty meals. And tonight we are going to be talking about a couple different things. First, the publishing process. So, if you are someone who has never published a book, or if you're in the process of publishing a book, or publishing your next book, we'll talk about the different steps that you need in order to do that. And then I'm actually going to walk you through those steps with my upcoming book, The Daniel Fast Meals Cookbook. So, let me know where you are joining from. I'm going to get my comments up so that I can see yours. And I'm using software that helps me kind of screen share and do a couple different things. So you will want to click the little button to give permission so I can see who you are, because otherwise it'll just say Facebook user. So tag somebody who you know needs to be here. It could be somebody who is thinking about publishing a book or someone who's interested in the Daniel Fast, because that's the book I'm going to be walking through these steps with. All right, so gonna go ahead and get started. Once again, I'm Ashley, and drop your let me know where you are in the world in the comments, and then let me know if you're here for the food or the books. I was talking to somebody who's a follower, and I just was messaging her and saying thank you so much for being engaged with things. And I was like, "Are you following my page for food or for books?" And she was like, "I'm here for both." So if that's you, then drop that in the comments as well. And let me turn my comments on. Also, please be sure to share this. That helps it get to the right people so that way they can see what they need to see. All right, so tonight we are talking about the publishing process, and I'm going to walk you through that process with my Daniel Fast Meals Cookbook. And so, once again, in the comments, go ahead and click that button in the description, not the comments, that says to give permission, because that will let me see who you are when you're dropping a comment. So, as some of you may know, I am in the process of publishing my Daniel Fast Meals cookbook, and it's available for pre-sales currently. I'll drop that link in the chat in case you haven't gotten yours. It'll be available until the end of this month. On my birthday is when the sales will end on December 28th. But I wanted to talk to you all about the process of publishing, because I work with a lot of authors who are either doing their first book or their second book, or they really want to focus on marketing. And honestly, that starts while you're doing the publishing. And so I'm working it out in real time. This is part of my marketing for the book, to let people get a sneak peek of what the book looks like, so that way they can see some of the recipes, some of the pictures of the food, and just giving an idea of what to expect. So that way, when they get the book, they'll understand what's in it. And then that helps to increase customer satisfaction and also to get people excited about the book. So, when you are writing a book, your first step is going to be drafting. And in my case, I like to use Google Docs for drafting. Some people like to do Microsoft Word. Some people do talk to text. That's totally fine too. And what I tell authors is that when you are starting your book, just write. And so in my case, since this was a recipe book, I had to go through the process of compiling my recipes. And I'm going to show you a little bit of my system as to how I do that. And so in this case, I had to shift from using my Google Docs over to Google Sheets. And I have two screens, so if you see me looking over, that's what's going on. And so I went through the process of cataloging, inventorying my recipes so that I could have them in a place that was easy for me to organize, to see what kind of recipes should go in the Daniel Fast cookbook, what recipes should go in a different cookbook, because I'm working on some other cookbooks. If you're not a Daniel Faster, that's totally fine. I got some other cookbooks coming up for you. But I had to go through that process. I'm going to show you a little bit of that in just a moment. Also, I had to work on the front matter of the book, so the front portion of the book, given the backstory, some of the details, and things of that sort. And so that's something I did back in Google Docs. And so if you are an author, or you're somebody who wants to be an author, don't spend so much time worrying about editing yourself or putting things perfectly in place. Your first draft is going to be a mess, and that's okay. And it's not something that has to be perfect. That's something you'll fine tune in the next step of publishing, which is revising, editing, and proofreading. And so that's the part where, if you think back to elementary school, and I have I'm a former ELA teacher and literacy coach. So that's where my mind goes. Think about when you were writing your stories, you had to go through the process of drafting, then you went through and revising, meaning taking parts out, adding extra parts, moving things around. Then you did editing and proofreading. And so, if you're in the drafting process, make sure you're not going back and trying to edit your things at that point. It'll slow you down and it also cause some frustration because at that point, you just need to get your thoughts out. So I will screen share some of my things just to kind of show a rough sketch of what's going on. So, so this is my real life draft of the cookbook, and I have Grammarly going on, but like I said, when you're drafting, you don't have to worry about those things. And so for this, just real rough sketch, I'll give you a preview of this. So getting your ideas out, using a word processor helps you be able to arrange things to make it so that you can adjust stuff. You can add in feedback for yourself of things you need to do. You can have other people give feedback. Shout out to Fritzline for being one of my beta readers for this work, and for Shemaine Perry Knights as well for doing the same. It gives you a place to be able to capture your thoughts and make sure that you are putting them all in one place so you're not running around with things on a piece of paper. Um, and it keeps it safe. And so I have it backed up to a cloud, and then that way it's something where I don't have to worry about something happening to it. And then this is also a place where I can give notes to my formatter to be able to make adjustments on my behalf. So I said I was going to share my inventory system, and so this has been an extensive process. And so, as someone who doesn't generally write recipes down, I just cook. I've had to kind of break out of that because people would say to me, "Hey, I wanna make the same thing. I want to make it the same way you do, or what's in here." And I have to really think, okay, what did I put in here? So I've gotten in the habit of writing them down for you all. And this is actually the inventory that I use to keep up with the recipes. So I have a link to the individual recipe and then also pictures of that recipe as well. So that way, for the cookbook, it's something I can have on hand to keep it organized. And so this is just the Daniel Fast recipe set, and there are over 50 recipes in here. But my main recipe inventory, I'm working on that. And so we're over 100 at this point. And so I'm excited about those items that are going to be coming down the pipe as well. So going back to our publishing steps, we said we have drafting, we have revising, proofreading, editing. Then, and if you're in the process of writing a book, let me know in the chat. Let me know the name of your book. If you have a name, just share, or you can share the topic. If you're here for the food, let me know what kind of recipes you're looking forward to. So then our next step of publishing a book is doing formatting, and that's where you have a formatter, an interior designer to actually make your book look like a book. And so instead of having it just be a document where it's just like a paper essay type thing, it's moving to something where it looks visually appealing. So maybe they'll draw or they'll add in some decorative boxes. Like I know in my cookbook, I'll have meal planners sections, and so I have my formatter designing those. Or I have her adding in stars to rate the recipes. And so all those little cutesy elements that you might have in your book or that you really like how the book looks is going to be something that is done in formatting. And I was going to get a copy of one of my other books to show as an example, but I'm going to leave that there. So I'm actually going to show you the initial formats, the formatting for my cookbook, because that's the stage I'm in now, is initial formatting. And so you get a sneak peek of that. All right, so drop a 1 in the comments if you can see this. I think I can. You can see it on my end, but just let me know to verify. So in this, you can see our table of contents. For my designer, this is the last thing that she actually does because since things can shift and change, we don't want to spend too much time adjusting this at this moment. So we've got our introduction, just giving little details about the book. And so you'll notice there's a little bit of a font change here, a little bit of adjusting here. And this front part we're going to get a little bit more decorative with, but I'm going to skip to the portion that will be the sections. And so here we have something that's a little bit more decorative, and a section heading. And so these are things that I've shared with my formatter that I want to make sure that are in there. Hey Peachy, thanks for tuning in. And then Facebook user, whoever commented under Peachy, make sure you give permission to eCam so that I can see your name. And so, but thank you for tuning in as well. So in this case, each of the sections are a different process or a different part of a method that I share, which is my plan, prep, pray method. And this is specific to the Daniel fast to be prepared to have a successful Daniel fast. And so each of those sections include that. And then I've also included scripture. Let me zoom out. So I've also included scripture throughout the cookbook because if you're not familiar with the Daniel fast, it's actually a faith-based adjustment in your eating habits, and you can actually still eat. So it's not a dry fast, meaning you're not eating anything, but it's an adjustment where you are avoiding meats, sweets, and added sugars. And you're probably thinking, well, what else am I supposed to eat if that's the case? And that's why I have the cookbook to give ideas of other things to eat. And if you are, I'm sorry. And with that eating habit, it's coupled with an increased prayer time with the Lord to kind of dig in and lean into something that you're faithing in God for. And I say faithing, not a real word, but a made up word, but something you're believing that God can do in your life. And so you're increasing your prayer time while also decreasing the added sugar, the meats, and things that come from animals. So animal based proteins. And so for people, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to think, okay, well, what else is there left to eat? What other things can I have to eat? And so that's honestly where this inspiration came from. I have a 21-day devotional on the same topic that includes recipes, and that book has sold almost 4,000 copies in a little under 3 years. We're coming up on the third anniversary of it. It came out in 2020. And so with that, I included recipes on a book bonus website. But people kept saying, hey, this would be nice to have it in a physical form. And so that's where this cookbook came from. So moving on. Okay, so that will be that section. And then this is more of the formatting that I was talking about. And I don't think y'all can see my mouse, but more of the formatting I was talking about where there's certain things that just look a little bit more decorative. And then I'm going to have her go back in and add some additional pictures and things of that sort. And then the next section will focus on prep. We haven't done the section table of contents for this yet, but you can kind of see the theme changing a little bit. And then I of course, got to give the disclaimer, like you need to make the food taste good for you. I've given specifics. And that's another thing for this cookbook, because it's something where you are sacrificing. The recipes are not opulent, they're not extravagant, they're very simple. And it's something where if it's not simple enough for you, then you have the choice to take things out. If it's too simple for you, then you can add additional things in. But just making sure that you are doing some type of sacrifice on the Daniel fast, because then it's kind of like, well, if this is just like your regular everyday eating, then you're not really stretching your faith. So then we'll also have sections for grocery shopping lists and meal planning, and then the recipe page is something I wanted to share with you. Now, this step in publishing is very important to do the formatting because it's hard to see what this will actually look like when it's in print form, and we'll do a printed proof as well. But seeing that, okay, here, this is a place for people to add in their own recipes that they're going to do, because maybe they don't want to do one of the recipes I provide every single day. And thanks, Peachy, appreciate it. So maybe they don't want to add that every single day. So then, in order for that to happen, formatting it shows me that, okay, this is not really a ton of space for someone to write in. So I might want to adjust this, or I might want to ask my formatter to do this in a different way so that it gives a little bit more space for the person to be able to write. And so that's not something you would know without formatting. Formatting is also a good place to put placeholders. So for example, we'll use QR codes throughout the book, and that will help people to be able to easily access the book bonus website, which will be here. Right now, this is actually pointing to the pre-sale page. So just danielfastmeals.com. It's pointing to that. Eventually, I'll change that to make it the book bonus website to include all the extra items that I'm going to include with the book to help my readers be successful and complete their Daniel fast. All right. Okay, the last thing I'm going to show you in formatting is one of the recipe pages. And this is just a placeholder. And let me switch to 2 pages so you can see what it would look like. So in this case, like I said, this is just a placeholder. This is not oatmeal. Um, but this is what the layout and structure will look like for the actual cookbook when you are reading it or when you get it. And so you'll be able to see things like the course, the prep time, the cook time, total minutes, servings. And then also throughout, it was important to me, and I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Um, excuse me. So it was important to me to make it so that as you're reading it, it's easy for you to see what you need. And so in this case, this is an option that has a lot of different, this recipe has a lot of different combinations that you can do. So it's a little bit different than just cut and dry. This is what it has to be. And then also making sure that these headings are clear. So, okay, this is exactly what I need to do. And, excuse me, let me get some water. Okay. So this one, I know it looks like a lot of steps. However, these are just examples of what you can do, variations of what you can do. And then the actual directions are over here. So it's really just 3 steps. And then I've also included tips throughout, so chef tips to help you with faster meal prep or ease of cooking, and then also star rating, because sometimes when you make different recipes, you want to rate them and say, okay, I don't really remember the next time when I make this. I want to make sure, okay, did I even like this? Is there something I need to change, something I need to adjust? And so I put a place for that as well. So that goes through the formatting process. And so I also want to share some of that formatting by sharing with you some of the actual meals that will be in the cookbook. And if you have any questions throughout as well, of course, drop those in the chat. And so here we have some of the pictures that will be in the cookbook. So these are the different meals and recipes that are included that we went from our spreadsheet, cataloging them, and then we have tons of different options here. There are over 50 recipes that are included. Most of them are entrees or side dishes, things of that sort. There are some, I call them like seasonings and sauces, and I included those like guacamole. I included that because that's something that's pretty versatile that you can use with a couple different things. It doesn't just have to be with Mexican dishes. And then things like an all-purpose seasoning, so that way if you're trying to season something, if you're somebody who doesn't eat a ton of vegetables and you're doing this type of eating, it can be kind of jarring, so maybe you need something to kind of add a little bit of flavor. Those are those make ahead oatmeal jars, so this will be the actual picture that goes on that recipe page instead of that placeholder that's there. And then of course me in the kitchen, because there were pictures of me in there. And so this, like I said, this is all part of the formatting process, formatting part. Oh, hey, Akila. Okay, I can see you now. So, okay, you said, is this a digital cookbook? So for the pre-sale, it's going to be a spiral and a hardcover, and then I'll also, so after the pre-sale's over on December 28th, that'll be the last day of the pre-sale. Once pre-sale's over, then I'll I have the digital version available on Kindle, and then also paperback as well. So we're doing the hardcover and spiral first because those take longer to get done. They're a little bit more complicated. And then we'll do the paperback and the ebook. So it'll be available in all of those different versions. Good question. Okay. So what was I saying? Lost my train of thought. Okay. Bear with me, got a toddler and a 6-month-old. So this part of the process, what I had to do next was actually match up my the pictures with the recipe on the manuscript. So at that point, I linked these so that my formatter could see, okay, well, these are our black bean burrito bowls, or this is the stuffed acorn squash. So that way she's able to align those together and make it so that it's easy for her to see what goes with what. And then what she'll do next is she'll add that into our back into that PDF version of the document. I'll review it, we'll make tweaks, and we'll do that back and forth until we get to a place where the cookbook looks how it needs to look. All right, our next step, excuse me. Our next step in the publishing process is so doing that back and forth, getting those formats from the formatter, the different versions. And then we'll upload it. And by we, I say we, but I will upload it because it's my book. I'll upload it. I do have a team of people that help me, 2 assistants. But for the uploading, I do that. And so I'll upload it to the different places I'm going to publish. And so to get the spiral and the hardcover, I'm going to be using offset printing, which means that I'm printing in bulk. So for many first-time authors, this is not really an option because it's a little bit more expensive, a little bit pricier. However, if you want different options such as foil, lay flat hardcover, premium paper where it's not going to smudge, where you are touching the pieces of paper. And for the pictures that I have, these are the kind of things I need to have for this kind of book because, whoop, did not mean to zoom that far. Sorry, y'all. I was trying to scroll. For these kind of things, I want it to be nice. I want it to be something where it's going to be a keepsake. I want it to be something where it's not going to smudge when you're cooking. And so for those types of paper, you have to do what's called offset printing. And so that's why we're doing the spiral and hardcover first. And then, and like I said in the chat, let me drop that link again. So if you want to get either of those versions, I'll put the link in the chat for you for either the spiral or the hardcover. Along with that, and I'll pull up that page so you can see what it looks like. So along with those, you will get, let me scroll down to the options. So it's over 50 recipes, and you can pick between the book bundle, which includes, you can pick spiral or hardcover, your choice. And you'll get a printable ebook PDF. So like Akila was asking earlier, you will get a copy of the book in a printable form, because for those meal planning pages, you might want to print those out. You might want to put them on your refrigerator. You might want to put them in a binder. You might want to have them accessible to you in some other form besides the cookbook. And then also you'll get a cooking class if you get the bundle. So that way we'll cook at least 1 or 2 of the recipes together. So that way you can ask questions and you'll know ahead of time what we're cooking. So that way we can do it together while you're doing your Daniel fast. Option 2 is to just get the spiral or the hardcover, and you'll still get the printable ebook. So that way, as you're waiting for your spiral or hardcover to get to you, you'll be able to have access to it in a digital format. Okay. And then I am doing free shipping. So if you purchase before I mention that, it was on the page already, but if you purchase before I mention that, then I'll refund your shipping for you if you need it. So if you purchased at the beginning of this live stream, you didn't see the free shipping, I'll send your shipping back. So for that, the code is free ship. All right, so now let's go back to our, just put those in the background. I'm just so excited because they look so pretty. This has been a labor of love, and I'm excited to see it come to fruition. So our next step is in publishing is actually uploading it. And so I mentioned this a little bit earlier. So for the offset printing, I'm selecting a printer that I'm sending the files to for them to be able to print them in that the spiral version and the nicer hardcover where it's going to lay flat when you are cooking, and with the paper that's not gonna smudge when you got your greasy hands doing stuff. And so those will come out first, and then the next step will be to upload it to sites like Amazon, KDP. If you're in publishing, you've probably heard of that before, or if you order books off of Amazon, then most of them that are by self-published authors are done through a process called Amazon KDP, and that is a place where pretty much anybody can publish. You have the access and the ability to upload your books and get a printed copy for them. And if you have my Daniel Fast Daniel Fast Journal devotional, that one was done on Amazon KDP, as well as my New Mom Thoughts journal was also done on KDP as well. And so with that, you have the freedom and the control to make it look like how you want it to look, just like with offset printing, but you don't have to pay the upfront cost to get your books printed. Instead, Amazon will deduct their money when your book ships. And so that's the actual publishing part, is making it available for other people. I know I said that these are the steps to publishing because you need all of those steps before you get to that final upload button. option. And then after that, you'll order proofs. And so those are copies that are an example. So it's a hardcover copy or a paperback copy for you to see what the book looks like so you can understand, okay, when I take it from my document and I get into a physical form, and my books are too far for me to reach. I gotta bring them over next time. In a physical form, this is what it's gonna look like for my customer. Proof copies traditionally have the big words proof across the front. However, if you're on Amazon, they've added an option to order author copies ahead of time before your book is published. It's a recent update. And I can add the link for that in the comments if you are interested in finding out how to do that. All right, let me check the questions. Okay, so Akila said, is this a healthy eating cookbook? Great question. So for the Daniel fast, a it's an adjustment in your eating to grow closer to God and then also to eat healthier within your body. And so all of the recipes that are included, and I'll put those back up, all of the recipes that are included are meatless and they do not have added sugars. They don't have, so no meats, no sweets, no added sugars. So the only sweet things would be naturally sweet things like fruits, and some vegetables have some sugar in it as well. But everything is meatless. The seasonings that are used, I use a lot of herbs and spices in general, but there's nothing that's like deep fried, nothing like that. So yes, this is a healthy eating cookbook, but it's coupled with increasing your faith in God. And so there are Bible verses throughout the book, and then also there are ways to help you to be able to, there's tips and strategies to help you be able to complete your 21 days of this eating adjustment called the Daniel fast. Good question. And so if you're like, I've never done the Daniel fast, I don't want to do the Daniel fast, but I do need to eat more vegetables, this is still a good option for you because the majority of the items are vegetables. You will see some items, like this one right here, this stir fry, where I include things like meat crumbles. You don't have to use those. I do give adjustments, but if you're just using it once in a while, then that's still technically considered healthy. So, all right, let me look and see. Okay, will the link be on my Facebook page? Yes, let me see. I think because it's only letting me put it on my, oh, I can't, okay. So on my software, I can't add the comments to the group or my profile, but yes, I will put the link in the description. And it should be in the description of this, but yes, I will add it there. Thank you, good question. Okay, so let me go back over here. All right, so for our publishing process, we have our drafting, we have our revising, editing, proofreading, our formatting and typesetting. Then our publishing, which is you put the book up, it's published, it's available, and then also ordering our proofs. Now, there are some other steps that I didn't necessarily include because depending on the type of book that you're publishing, you may or may not have to include these steps, and it depends on your goals. So, for example, getting beta readers. If you were on earlier, you heard me give a shout out to Fritzline and Charmaine Perry Knights because they were actually some of my beta readers for this cookbook to help me to be able to know what to say in certain parts or to get feedback. And beta readers are an important part of your book publishing process because those can be the first people that give you your reviews because they got to read the book ahead of everybody else. They get to give impactful feedback that will help you to see things that maybe you didn't necessarily see. So in this case, one thing that I could also do is to have people cook the recipes from the book. And so if you're one of those people, if you'd like to be part of the beta readers, just drop beta in the comments and I will send you some of the recipes ahead of time and you can cook them and give me feedback and let me know how they are. And that way, if I need to make tweaks or adjustments, you can. In this case, because these recipes were a part of my Daniel Fast devotional, in terms of being on the bonus site, I've already had people cook these. So I've already kind of gotten that process by having these available on a bonus site, but not in a physical copy. So I kind of went around that process just a bit. Okay. Also, your ISBN number is a number that's on the back of your book. So if you've ever scanned something, the number that's by the barcode. And this is an optional number, but it really depends on what your book goals are. So, and if you're watching from my food page, unless you're just interested in publishing, most of the rest of this will be about publishing. So just giving a heads up. But sometimes people want to know about that process too, to see the behind the scenes of the book. So the ISBN number is the unique identifier that your book has. So that way when it's scanned at the store or scanned somewhere else, then it pulls up your information. And that's optional because some people only want to sell their book on Amazon. They're not necessarily interested in getting in bookstores, or they're not interested in selling your book anywhere else. So they don't necessarily buy an ISBN. I recommend buying one for the majority of my clients. There's very rarely a case where I would say don't buy an ISBN. I do have some pen name books or coloring books that for me that are not food related or publishing related. And so those I didn't purchase an ISBN for because I don't necessarily want that tied to me. It's just, oh, this is a book that I made. So okay, your copyright. So that's something that adds added protection for you as an author to protect your works. You automatically have copyright protection from the moment that you write something. However, it just adds an extra little kind of shell of protection around it. And you have up to 5 years from your date of publication to get your copyright completed. And then another step is the Library of Congress number, and that's if you're interested in being in libraries. So for my cookbook, I am getting a Library of Congress number because it makes sense that I might want libraries to carry this. For my journals, I didn't necessarily do that because since you have to write in a journal, it didn't really make sense for those to be inside of a library. So, all right, I've done a lot of talking. And thank you so much for tuning in. So once again, if you are interested in grabbing your copy of the Daniel Fast Cookbook, I'll put that back on the screen so you can see that. The pre-sales are going to be available until my birthday, which is later this month. December babies, shout out in the chat. Peachy, I know you're a December baby. So you'll be able to get your pre-sale up until 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on December 28th. And your pre-sale bundle, includes the spiral or hardcover. You can pick printable ebook, so you'll get a printable version of the book so that you can have your copy while you're waiting for your physical copy to arrive. And then we're going to have a cooking class in January, cooking some of the meals in the cookbook. If you just want the book, I'm still going to give you the printable ebook, and you can still pick your spiral or hardcover. And I'm offering free shipping. I'm paying the shipping probably all this month as a birthday thank you. And so you can just put code free ship at checkout, and then you'll be able to grab that. If you are saying, I just want the paperback or I want the digital version that I can look at my Kindle on or look on my Kindle, that will be available later this month as well. But for the pre-sale, it's just the spiral and the hardcover because I want to give extra time for them to ship. All right, let me check and see if I missed any comments. Oh, okay. You're welcome, Peachy. No problem. Thank you, Juanita. Yes, happy birthday to come. Yes, yes, yes. And I was saying earlier that, let me add this link. I was saying earlier that the Daniel Fast Journal actually came out on my birthday 3 years ago. And so this is a fun way to kind of commemorate and show the progress of things that have been going on since then, because it's been a wild ride since then. It's been insane, honestly, to see how far reaching the journal has gone. And it's a devotional. I say journal, but it's a devotional. And places like Uganda or Australia or India, those are places that the book has sold. And so I'm just really excited to see how God's going to move with the cookbook. So thank you so much for tuning in. I will add these links to all the places that I posted because thank you, Peachy, for letting me know that I didn't go out to the other ones. So if you have any questions, drop those in the chat or you can send me a DM. Have a good evening. Thanks for tuning in.